What we're looking at here is typical in older homes. This home was probably built in the 1950s. And the stucco actually goes all the way down into the dirt. There is no weep screed. So any moisture that gets stuck in the stucco and works its way down actually doesn't have a place to drain out or through like a weep screed. A weep screed allows the moisture to drain out of the stucco safely as long as it's not buried in dirt. This stucco actually goes into the dirt, so it's got two problems. It won't let the moisture drain out all the time, and it will actually suck moisture out of the ground. So if the dirt is wet, the ground is wet, it'll actually absorb the moisture up into the stucco. I've seen it pull it. I've seen a stucco wall that was buried into the dirt or didn't have a weep screed in it suck moisture up at least 3 feet. It's hard to imagine, but actually it happened on this house on the other side of the house, and it wasn't from the ground. The stucco actually went next to a sidewalk. They had poured a sidewalk next to the house, and the sidewalk was moist continuously, and you had the same effect. So I want to show you what we did in the as a solution here. Okay, what you're looking at here is I removed the stucco, and I actually chipped the stucco off of the cement. The stucco was attached to the raised foundation here. So there was no weep screed. It went into the dirt. I dug probably about 4 inches of dirt away and chipped the stucco down about 4 inches below the soil line. And it's not going to hurt anything because that stucco's already damaged. It's not going to be a big deal. I mean, I would rather have it not there, but it's not going to be a concern because I'm going to install a weep screed, and I informed the homeowners that they need to keep the soil level below the weep screed at least 2 inches if possible. The building code requires 6 inches below the soil, but anything is better than nothing. And in the next video I'm going to show you the weep screed. The next section I want to show you the weep screed. Okay, the black arrow is pointing to the weep screed, which will represent the bottom of the stucco. The stucco will no longer go into the ground, and it will not be able to absorb moisture from the ground anymore, creating mold. If you can go back to the beginning of the video, you will see that the wall has green mold or moss growing on it. Trust me, this stucco was easy to remove. I mean, you could almost take the claw of your hammer and scrape the stucco off. That's how bad it was. And it's mainly all that is due from the moisture. It just doesn't have a place to get out. It's not escaping from the stucco. It just remains in there for months. So once you put the weep screed on, this allows the moisture to, any moisture that gets trapped behind the stucco will roll out through the holes in the weep screed. So weep screed, yes. Now, what if the homeowner took and filled this planter back up with dirt above the weep screed edge? Now you're back to square one. You just wasted all your money putting the weep screed in. So if you have a planter like this, or a situation like this where you have dirt up against your weep screed, any type of soil, dirt, just a pile of dirt up against the building, get rid of it. You're just asking for problems. And don't forget about subterranean termites. They love soil next to a house. So weep screed is a definite yes if you're going to stucco your house. Don't run your stucco into the ground. As a matter of fact, it's not even allowed anymore by most building codes. They require at least a 6-inch minimum between the now it's hard to tell. It's either between the top of the stucco weep screed or in between the bottom of the stucco and the dirt. but I would recommend a minimum of 2 inches, just the bare minimum. But don't forget, you got to follow local building codes in your areas. So if you hear me say something, it might be something that will work, but it might not meet local building codes. Here's what the finished product looks like. Now, I don't have a close-up of the weep screed, dang it. I took these pictures while I was remodeling a house, and of course I missed out on that one. But I did inform the homeowner to keep the level of the soil below the weep screed, a minimum of 2 inches. Watch for any activity. If you're going to plant any plants in there, make sure that the plants aren't growing in underneath the stucco. And whether the homeowner does that or not, that's going to be up to them. You now have the information. If you have any dirt next to your stucco, try and remove it. You know, if you have a weep screed, if you have a house, if you live in a house where the stucco runs all the way into the soil like this house did originally, there's not a lot you're going to be able to do about it unless you hire someone to install a weep screed for you. And that is, of course, an option that you always will have to correct the situation. But if you do have weep screed and you live in a newer house, maybe 1970s or newer, you should have a weep screed on it. Make sure that there's no dirt piled next to the house and that the dirt is well below the weep screed level. Don't forget, building code is 6 inches. So check with your local building department for more information. Other than that, you've got a pretty good idea what your stucco is going to look like if you do stuff that you're not supposed to.